People have biases and preferences and will often choose based on them. They have prejudices and they discriminate. Sometimes this is okay. Like when I afford preferential treatment to my children, I give them gifts at Christmas time, but I don't give many other people Christmas presents. But sometimes prejudice and discrimination are not okay. Like if I were to give a bad grade to a student in my class because she says something bad about eating meat, that would be wrong. People also have interests and will often prioritize those interests in their choices. They may even be greedy about their interests. Sometimes this is okay, like when I bargain with a seller on Facebook Marketplace to get a better price for a fancy meat smoker I want to buy. But sometimes greed is not okay, like if I were to lie to someone on Facebook Marketplace about a cooking gadget I'm selling to get a better price for it. Now, it's also interesting to notice that sometimes greed and prejudice work against each other. When they do, we get to see which one will motivate a person more. Will their greed trump their prejudice, or will their prejudice trump their greed? This comes up in the debate about immigration laws. Laws that severely restrict immigration will be supported by those who suppose that people, if they had a choice, would freely want to hire and sell and rent to immigrants, even if natives were readily available. So supporters of these laws want it to be true, not just that it's legally permissible to discriminate against immigrants. They want it to be legally required to discriminate against them. So they must be worried that if employers, sellers, and renters had a choice, their greed would motivate them to overcome whatever prejudice they have against immigrants, and they would trade with them despite it. This is similar to Jim Crow laws in southern states from the late 19th century to the early 20th century. These laws supposed that people would be too greedy to discriminate against black people, even though it was legally permissible, so they made the discrimination legally required. Now, of course, private discrimination of many different kinds is illegal. But I wonder, actually I would bet, that if you ask them, potential immigrants would strongly prefer the U.S. to make private discrimination against them legal to the status quo of very strict immigration restrictions where discrimination against them is legally required. Even though this isn't on the table legally, that they would probably prefer this is telling, because such a preference would suggest that these potential immigrants also believe that greed, that the greed of employers, sellers, and renters who may have an interest in trading with them, that greed trumps whatever prejudice they might have against them.